I'm very honored to be here this evening to congratulate you and welcome you on your induction into the National Honor Society. At my own induction, a generation ago, I stood so awkwardly wearing a suit in front of my peers for the very first time, and I tried to look cool. You know, I had this thick, lush hair that I feathered back like Luke Skywalker. But the fact that I had thick plastic-rimmed glasses and a zit the size of a golf ball on my cheek and would even make a Star Wars reference meant that I was not going to be cool no matter how hard I tried. But here we are, and I was reminded on that evening that membership in the National Honor Society is not a one-time thing or even a high school thing. It's a lifetime thing. So while you look upon this moment tonight with kudos and accolades, and we should, we also look to the future with commitment and obligation. It is a cool thing, and it does feel good. You get to wear a little extra decoration at graduation. You get to add a valuable bullet point to your college and scholarship applications. And that's all swell. But you know what? That's not the point. The point is that our culture, our community, this very world needs honorable people like you. We need you to step up. We need you to step up tonight, tomorrow, and every day for the rest of your lives. We need you to step up with a pledge to live excellent scholarship, leadership, service, and character. So let's take a look at these attributes. Let's look at what they mean and how you can live them. As we ponder these qualities, please remember this: you can never own them. You can only pursue them. These are qualities that you can share, but you can never possess. In fact, when you stop sharing them, you will lose them. Along the way, I'd like to introduce you to 3 people that I've met and spent some time with on the streets: Mike, Rachel, and Eddie. And I've learned valuable lessons from them that I'd like to share with you. First, Mike. I learned what scholarship means from Mike, a schizophrenic, homeless man living in a park downtown. As part of our Streetlights Outreach program, we go into certain neighborhoods in the city and we host block parties. We set up grills and we invite everyone in the neighborhood to come out and enjoy free hamburgers and hot dogs and a little music. And our goal is to build a sense of community and belonging among those who often feel isolated and fearful. It was at one of those block parties that Mike, an unbathed man in grungy clothing, got hold of my son Jacob, who had graduated from high school just a few weeks prior. 4 years later, as a senior at the University of Wisconsin, Jacob reflected on the encounter in an essay. Here's an excerpt. An excerpt is what people who give speeches use to really say, I got someone else to write this for me. But Jacob reflected on this in an essay and he wrote this. So there we were, standing next to the flaming grills and having a rather entertaining conversation. Suddenly he asked me, "Are you in school?" "Yes," I cautiously answered. "Good. I hope you never quit. You'd better stay in school. And stay away from drugs, too." I wasn't sure what to think. Could I really be getting a life lesson from a homeless guy? "Really," he continued with earnestness, "I've seen it happen. People around here get real messed up. And booze, it really hurts too. Don't even start." Then Mike said something to me I will never forget. He said, "And I'm not a bum. I am not a bum." He said it with such passion, resentment, and sadness that I had to dwell on it for a few moments. Mike had nothing left. His belongings, his career, his family, even his hopes and dreams and dignity had all been stripped away by his mental illness. All that was left was a want to be respected as a person. I could only guess as to how many people cast him aside as a no-good bum on a daily basis. But he was a man, a human being. Mike never wanted anyone to feel sorry for him, but just to look at him in the eye and acknowledge his humanity, to not write him off as stupid or lazy. Yes, he was homeless, but he was not a bum, and it did matter when people called him that. Out of all the lessons I learned from Mike, that was the biggest and most important, and perhaps one that only a homeless man could teach me. In the harsh world Mike lived in, the only thing that upset him the most was an attack on his personhood. At the end of the day, we must embrace people's humanity instead of cowering behind dehumanizing labels. So Mike taught Jacob and me that authentic scholarship, the kind that seeks understanding and not just knowledge, comes from everywhere, and the true scholar looks for it always and in everyone. The world has so much to teach us. We just have to open ourselves to it. We live in a culture right now where a lot of people believe they have the truth, that their opinions are all they need. That's not scholarship. That's dangerous. True scholarship answers questions, yes, but more importantly, it questions answers. It is never so arrogant as to assume that it knows the whole truth about anything. As you commit this evening to live a life of scholarship, please realize that the truly gifted are not those who have the answers, but rather those who never stop chasing the questions. Now I'd like to introduce you to Rachel. I learned what leadership means from Rachel. I debated whether or not to even tell you about her because her story is tough. Her story is hard. But her story is real, and it's part of this real world that needs you. Rachel grew up in Los Angeles where her mother was a crack addict. When she was 5 years old, her mom's live-in boyfriend introduced her to marijuana. When she was 9, a different live-in boyfriend began sexually molesting her. At the age of 11, Rachel's mother sold her as a prostitute to pay off her own drug debts. By the time she was 14, she was a full-blown meth addict, had stopped going to school, and ran away to escape all the abuse. But all she knew was the world of drugs and prostitution. Rachel didn't stand a chance. When I start to feel too prideful, I have to ask myself where I'd be if I had Rachel's start in life. Rachel spent the next 18 years moving between meth houses, prison cells, and homeless shelters. Finally, at the age of 32, she scraped together enough money to buy a bus ticket to Green Bay. She chose Green Bay, she told me, because it seemed like a wholesome place where she could escape the drug culture and start her life over. But within 2 days of arriving in town, she already knew the location of 3 meth houses. Before she could try her first cheese curds, she was sucked right back into the life she tried to escape. I met Rachel on the street one night. She was 34 and had been sober for 2 months. She was sharing an apartment with someone she met in a shelter, had a part-time job, and had gone back to school. She was so proud. She was beaming. About 45 minutes into our conversation, Rachel suddenly halted mid-sentence and said, "I've never done this before." I didn't know what she meant. What did she think we were doing? "You've never done what before?" I asked. "This," she said, "I've never in my life had just a social conversation with a couple of guys that wasn't about drugs or sex. My life really is changing." Her statement hit me like a brick to the gut. She was 34 years old. 34. And had never experienced the basic human dignity of having someone interested in who she was as a person. But she never gave up on herself. No matter how many times she fell, with the whole world stacked up against her, Rachel never gave up on herself. So what did I learn about leadership from Rachel? That leaders believe in potential. Where others see problems, leaders see possibility. Where others see pessimism, leaders see promise. True leaders will see and affirm the inherent value in each and every person. They build, they don't destroy. They create, they don't criticize. As you pledge this evening to live a life of leadership, please keep Rachel in mind. There are and always will be Rachels all around you. They don't all have stories as severe or dramatic, but they need you. They need you to affirm their dignity and believe in their potential. Pledge to be that leader. Pledge to be the leader that believes in others and brings out the best in others. Finally, I want to introduce you to Eddie. I learned about both service and character from Eddie. Eddie drove his van from Memphis to Green Bay to visit his brother, who lived in an apartment downtown. And there was no additional parking near his brother's apartment, so Eddie parked his van in a lot off Broadway Street, about a block from his brother's place. It rained that first night. It rained hard. And a homeless guy living downtown and seeking shelter from the weather found the van unlocked and crawled in the back. Protected from the weather and listening to the rhythm of the rain on the van's roof, he fell into a deep sleep. In the morning, Eddie and his brother found the man still sleeping in the van. Eddie had a few options. He could call the police and have the man removed. He could wake the man and ask him to leave. Or he could wait until the guy woke up, left on his own, and then lock the van. But Eddie didn't like any of these options. Instead, he nudged the man awake and told him he could continue to sleep in the van until Eddie had to return to Memphis in 2 weeks. And then Eddie took his brother's car, went to the store, and came back with 2 bags of groceries he gave to the guy. Eddie lived from the inside out. And that's the most important lesson I've ever learned about service, to live from the inside out. You will wake up tomorrow morning and every morning thereafter and make an important decision about who you're going to be and how you will live the day. Will you live from the outside in, trying to figure out how to get the world around you to serve your personal interests? Or will you live like Eddie from the inside out, asking yourself how you can use your time and your talents to serve others, to serve the world? It's a simple question we inevitably answer through our actions and attitudes. Am I seeking to use the world to to serve myself and my own well-being? Or am I seeking to use myself to serve the world? Those who choose the path of honor, the path of service, of course, choose the latter. Eddie taught me that true greatness is never small. It has a big heart. He also taught me a lot about character. I learned about Eddie from the guy who was living in Eddie's van. He told me the story. What story do others, not just your friends, but every person you encounter, what stories do they tell about you? That's scholarship. That's leadership. That's service. And that's character. Are they stories of those attributes? Because that's what character is. It's everything. It's all of the above. Character is the ability to look at yourself when you're at your very best and then make a commitment to be that person all the time. Not for the benefit of yourself, but for the benefit of someone else. Someone else who can never pay you back. And so we stand here tonight, welcoming you into this National Honor Society. You are here because you have exhibited these attributes of excellence. Congratulations. You work hard. You deserve to be recognized, and we need to recognize you. But National Honor Society membership isn't a one-time thing or a high school thing. It is a lifetime thing. So my invitation to you is twofold. First, to look upon tonight with honor. And second, to look upon tomorrow with commitment. May you go forth from here this evening and to live out your commitment to scholarship, leadership, service, and character, not to raise up yourself, but to raise up others, not to make yourself great, but to make the world great. That's what we need from you. Thank you.